Tonight, as you lie down and the room grows softer and dimmer, notice one simple thing. You're tired. Not just body tired, but soul tired. Tired of managing everything. Tired of holding it all together. Tired of feeling like rest is something you have to earn. You've tried so hard to fix your life. You've read the books. You've watched the videos. You've pushed yourself to improve, to optimize, to be better. And yet here you are at the end of the day with a quiet ache you can't explain. If effort was the answer, why are you still so exhausted? Tonight, we're going to try something different. Not another strategy. Not another technique. Not another plan to finally become your best self. Instead, we're going to gently explore what happens when you stop fighting. Not life, not others, not even your own mind. Just stop fighting. Stay with me. Because over the next while, we'll walk through a set of soft, ancient perspectives from Buddhism and Zen. We'll talk about letting go of striving, dissolving blame, seeing karma as movement, simplifying your life, and resting in a mind as wide as the sky, not as a philosophy class, not as homework, but as something you can feel in your body right now as you drift towards sleep. You don't have to remember it all. You don't have to try to apply it. Just let the words wash through you like a warm stream around tired feet. Your only job tonight is this: breathe, listen, and allow. Let's begin. You were taught that effort equals worth. Work harder. Push more. Think ahead. Stay on top of everything. Somewhere along the way, it became dangerous to relax. If you slow down, you might fall behind. If you loosen your grip, everything might fall apart. So your mind turns like a wheel that never stops. Planning, comparing, replaying, fixing. Even when nothing is wrong, there's a low hum of not enough in the background. Not enough done. Not enough progress. Not enough of you. But what if the problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough? What if the problem is that you don't know how to set effort down? In Zen, there is a strange idea. You do your best, but you don't squeeze. You act without clinging to the result. You walk without leaning so far into the future that you forget the ground under your feet. It sounds simple. It feels impossible. So we'll approach it gently. Right now, notice one place in your body where you're holding tension. Your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your hands. Without forcing anything to change, just become aware of it. Like you're saying to that place I see you, you've worked hard today. If it wants to soften, let it soften. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Letting go doesn't begin with some big dramatic surrender. It begins with tiny moments of not pushing. You've spent years training yourself to strive. You will not unlearn striving in a single night. But tonight, you can do one radical thing. You can allow this moment to be enough. Buddhism has a teaching called dependent origination. The words sound complicated, but the meaning is very human. Nothing stands alone. Every feeling, every thought, every reaction, every habit is born from countless conditions. Your mood today wasn't just you being bad at life. It was sleep, food, stress, memories, weather, old wounds, tiny triggers. Your reaction in that argument wasn't proof you're broken. It came from childhood patterns, fears, beliefs, timing, tone history. Everything arises from something. When you really see, that blame begins to soften. Blame toward others. Blame toward yourself. Think of a recent moment that still stings. A conversation, a mistake, a wave of anxiety that felt like too much. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you might gently ask, "What conditions were present? Was I tired? Was I scared? Was I trying to protect myself? Have I reacted like this before? When I felt small or unsafe, slowly, the story, 'I am the problem,' loosens its grip. You begin to see not a villain, but a pattern. Not a failure, but a chain of causes. This doesn't excuse anything. You are still responsible for what you do. But responsibility and self-hatred are not the same thing. When you see the web of causes, you don't collapse into shame. You begin to understand. And understanding is the beginning of release. Karma is another word people often misunderstand. We're told it's a cosmic scoreboard. You do something bad and life hits you back. You do something good and you get a reward. But in the older teachings, karma means something simpler. Action, energy, momentum. Every intention plants a seed. Repeated thoughts, repeated reactions, repeated choices create grooves in the mind. Walk the same path enough times, and it becomes a road. That's why the same patterns follow you even when you change jobs, cities, or relationships. It's not that you're cursed. It's that the inner road is the same. The empowering part is this. If karma is momentum, you can gently turn the wheel. Not by hating your old patterns, not by punishing yourself for them, but by seeing them clearly, and choosing differently one tiny moment at a time. Maybe today, when anger rises, you pause for one long breath. Just one. You feel the heat in your chest, the tightness in your jaw, and instead of speaking from that place, you let the wave crest and fall a little. To the world, that breath looks small. Inside, it's a revolution. The old current wanted you to react. You didn't. That is karma changing, not through force, through awareness. To support this shift, Buddhism loves something modern life often rejects: ritual. Not in a heavy, rigid way. Ritual as shape, as rhythm, as a gentle frame that holds your attention when your mind is tired. Monks wake, bow, eat, walk, and work according to simple forms. The point is not control. The point is that when the body knows what to do, the mind can rest inside the moment. You don't need a monastery. You can create small containers in your own day. Lighting a candle before you lie down. Taking 3 slow breaths before you open your phone. Placing your hand on your heart for a second before you speak in anger. Tiny, repeatable shapes. At first, they may feel meaningless, but repetition carves depth. Every time you return to a ritual, you meet it as a slightly different person. The form stays the same. You have changed. That contrast shows you where you're tense, where you're peaceful, where you're resisting. Ritual is not about impressing anyone, not even some spiritual idea of yourself. It's about having a place to come home to, especially on days when your mind feels scattered. Tonight, something simple can be your ritual. Each time you notice yourself drifting into worry, return softly to the feeling of the pillow under your head or the rise and fall of your breath. Not as a rule, as a home. Underneath all your stories about life, there is always one thing: the raw experience of this moment. In Buddhism, this is sometimes called suchness. Not my bad day, not my great day. Not this is a sign I'm failing or succeeding. Just this, a sound, a sensation, the weight of your blanket, the whisper of air, the heaviness or lightness inside your chest. The event happens. Then the mind paints it with meaning. This means I'm not enough. This means I'm losing. This means I've wasted my life. But if you pause before the meaning and meet just the raw feeling, what's truly there: warmth, coolness, tightness, softness, energy moving, not good or bad, not success or failure, just life appearing. You are not being asked to lie to yourself. If something hurts, it hurts. If something feels unfair, it feels unfair. You are simply being invited to feel it cleanly, before your mind turns it into a story about who you are. The story is what keeps suffering spinning long after the moment has passed. Tonight, if a memory comes up, see if you can sense the body first. Where does it land? Throat, stomach, heart. Let yourself feel that texture without immediately deciding what it means. This is not detachment. This is honesty. Suchness is reality without the extra weight. Reality as it is, not as your inner critic insists it should be. The more you meet moments directly, the more something else becomes visible, craving. Not dramatic craving, just that subtle lean toward more comfort, more distraction, more stimulation, more proof that you're okay. Voluntary simplicity is what begins when you stop obeying that lean. Not because you're forcing yourself to have less, but because you've started to notice that more doesn't really satisfy. Each new thing soothes you for a moment. Then your baseline returns. The hunger looks for the next object. Simplicity is not about throwing everything away. It's about asking quietly, what is truly enough for me? Which objects, commitments, habits gently support your well-being? And which ones just clutter your space and mind? You might start small. One shelf, one app, one repeating obligation that no longer feels true. Or even more subtly, one story about what you must achieve to be worthy. When you let go of what does not nourish you, you create space. Space to breathe, to think, to feel, to rest. In that space, you meet a version of yourself that doesn't need decoration. A self that is not built from possessions or performance, but from awareness. That self doesn't have to prove anything tonight. It is enough to simply exist here breathing. Even when you simplify, another subtle tension remains expectation. Your quiet script about how life should unfold. You expect people to respond a certain way. You expect your progress to be linear. You expect yourself to always be calm, productive, kind. And when reality refuses to obey, hurt appears. Not only because of what happened, but because it didn't match the movie in your head. Insight, meditation, is like kindly catching yourself inside that movie. You notice when your mind is rehearsing conversations, writing endings, predicting outcomes. You don't have to stop it by force. You simply see, this is expectation talking. The disappointment you feel is often just the distance between what is and what you imagined. Tonight, as you lie here, you might notice a faint tug in your chest. I should already be asleep. I should be further along in life. I should know what I'm doing. Gently, you can whisper back, maybe not. Maybe this moment is allowed to be exactly as it is. Expectation tightens. Curiosity loosens. You don't need to erase all your hopes. You just don't have to chain your peace to them. Your emotions, too, move in cycles. Sometimes they're storms. Sometimes they're light clouds. Sometimes they're just a strange, heavy weather you can't quite name. A powerful practice is to watch your inner weather instead of becoming it. Instead of, "I am anxious," you might notice, "Anxiety is passing through." Instead of, "I am broken," you might say, "Sadness is here." This small shift creates space. The storm is not the sky. Right now, you might scan your body gently from the top of your head down to your toes. If you feel nothing in particular, that's okay. If you feel a vague heaviness, that's okay. If you feel grief or fear or emptiness, that's okay. Whatever appears, see if you can treat it like a guest arriving at your door. You don't have to throw a party for it. You also don't have to slam the door in its face. You can simply say, "I see you." You can stay as long as you need, and you can leave when you're ready. Emotions are not permanent. They crest, they settle, they change shape. The less you attack or cling to them, the more naturally they move. You don't have to fix tonight's weather. You just have to remember that you are the sky it moves in. There is one truth most people spend an entire life avoiding. Everything ends. This breath, this body, this night, these relationships, this version of you. Not because you did something wrong, but because impermanence is baked into reality. In Buddhism, there is a practice of remembering death, not to frighten yourself, but to wake up. When you remember that time is not endless, small annoyances lose some of their power. Old grudges feel heavier to carry. The urgency to win every argument softens. You begin to ask, if I knew my time was truly limited, would this be where I want my energy to go? You don't have to think about this in a dramatic way. You don't have to picture worst-case scenarios. You can simply remember quietly, these people I love will not always be here, neither will I. This moment is rare. From that awareness, kindness becomes more natural. Forgiveness becomes lighter, even if the past still hurts. You stop postponing being gentle with yourself until you deserve it. You realize that the perfect moment to live never arrives. There is just this one, here, now, breathing. Of course, not everyone you meet will be soft. Not everyone is doing this work. Even as you become more patient inside, the world will still bring conflict. Misunderstandings, sharp words, cold silences. The old reflex is to harden, to attack back, to shut down, to build a case in your head. Buddhism offers a different orientation called bodhicitta, the awakened heart. It doesn't mean letting people walk over you. It doesn't mean staying where you are not safe. It means this: even when you set boundaries, even when you walk away, you do not have to carry hatred in your chest. When someone is hurtful, there is almost always pain beneath their behavior. Fear, shame, loneliness, old wounds. Seeing that doesn't make what they did okay. It just reminds you they are human, trapped in their own causes and conditions. You can say no with a steady voice without turning them into a monster in your mind. You can protect yourself without poisoning yourself. This same heart turns inward as well. When you react in a way you regret, when you say something sharp, when you fall back into an old pattern, you can remember, I too am learning. I too act from pain sometimes. Compassion that doesn't include you is not complete. Tonight, you don't need to solve any relationship. You don't have to forgive anyone before you're ready. You don't have to send love where there's still raw hurt. You simply don't need to sharpen the blade in your mind. You can let others be unfinished. You can let yourself be unfinished. You can rest in the middle. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for another person is not to speak, to be with their pain without offering answers, to sit in the silence without filling it. We often rush to help because it's painful to watch someone suffer. We want to fix it for them. We also want to stop feeling our own discomfort in the presence of their struggle. But growth has its own timing. Insight has its own rhythm. You cannot walk into someone else's inner world and rearrange it. What you can offer is presence. I'm here. I'm not trying to control this. I trust that something in you knows the way. The more you practice this with others, the more you learn to offer the same space to yourself. You stop interrupting your own process with constant analysis. You stop rushing yourself to heal. You stop demanding instant clarity. You become willing to sit with your own questions, your own half-finished chapters, without forcing a conclusion. This is a quiet, deep kind of love. As you keep softening, a new kind of awareness becomes possible. A mind like open sky. Most of the time, we live as if we are the weather. This worry, this sadness, this thought, this high, this low. But beneath all of that right now, there is something else. A clear quiet knowing that simply notices. This awareness has been with you in every single moment of your life. When you were happy, it was there. When you were broken, it was there. When you were numb, it was there. Thoughts came and went. Emotions rose and fell. Awareness stayed. Tonight, you can lean back into that. You don't need to push thoughts away. You don't need to grab onto them either. You can imagine each thought as a small cloud passing across a deep blue sky. Some are dark, some are bright, some are thin and quick. Some are heavy and slow. But none of them stain the sky. In the same way, your awareness is not damaged by what moves through it. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are the space that can hold them. There is nothing mystical you have to do to reach this. It's already happening. Right now, you are aware that you are listening. You are aware of your breath. You are aware of the bed beneath you. Rest there, not in the cloud, but in the sky that sees the cloud. When you rest in that wider awareness, something surprising happens. The me at the center of the story begins to soften. The version of you that always has to prove, defend, justify, label, control. Buddhism calls this insight non-self. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you are not a fixed thing. You are not just your past. You are not just your roles. You are not just your preferences or your worst moments. You are more like a river than a statue, always moving, always changing, fresh in each moment. When you forget, this identity becomes a prison. I am anxious. I am the one people leave. I am the one who always messes up. I am the one who has to keep everything together. These sentences feel solid, but they are only thoughts repeated often. Tonight, you are allowed to loosen their grip. You don't have to build a different identity. You don't have to tell yourself, I am amazing, or I am powerful, if that doesn't feel true. You can simply say, I am not finished. I am changing. I am more than any story about me. And then rest in the mystery of that. You don't have to solve who you are before you fall asleep. You can let yourself be an open question. So how do you live if you're not clinging to a fixed self, not trying to control everything, not disappearing into passivity? Buddhism points to the middle way. Not over-efforting, not giving up. A living, breathing balance, moment by moment. Sometimes the middle way means acting clearly, making the call, saying the hard thing, taking responsibility. Sometimes it means letting go, not answering that message right away, not forcing a conversation, not pushing when your body is asking for rest. There is no rigid formula. The balance is felt, not calculated. You can sense it in your body. Too much control, and you feel tight, rushed, brittle. Too much withdrawal, and you feel numb, heavy, disconnected. In between, there is a place where you are engaged but not squeezed. You might glimpse it for a second and then lose it. That's okay. The middle way is not a line you stay on perfectly. It's a place you return to whenever you remember. Tonight, the middle way can be as simple as this. You don't try to force sleep. You also don't give up and scroll your mind into more noise. You just lie here breathing, letting the body be heavy, letting the thoughts drift, trusting that rest will come when it comes. You are neither clinging to control nor abandoning yourself. You are here. There is one more quiet strength that ties all of this together, patience. Not the thin, tight kind where you grit your teeth and wait for something to finally be over. Real patience. The kind that says, I can stay with this moment, even if it's not comfortable, without attacking it or running from it. Growth is slow. Healing is slow. Learning to let go is slow. The mind wants quick results. Why am I still like this? Why is this feeling still here? Why am I not over this yet? Patience answers because you are human, because change unfolds like seasons, not like a light switch. Every time you sit with discomfort for one more breath than you used to, you are practicing patience. Every time you speak to yourself with a little less cruelty, you are practicing patience. Every time you remember that nothing is wasted, not this day, not this lesson, not this tear, you are practicing patience. Tonight, you don't have to hurry yourself. You have done enough for one day, more than enough. You are allowed to be in between chapters, between versions of yourself, between clarity and confusion. Patience stands beside you and says, I'm not going anywhere. We can stay here as long as we need. Yes, amo shu maskachis. You have walked in this one night through many doorways, letting go of pushing, seeing blame dissolve into patterns, feeling karma as energy that can slowly turn, sensing the power of small rituals, meeting raw reality without extra story, softening craving with simplicity, watching expectations loosen, seeing emotions as weather, not identity, allowing death to make this moment more precious, holding conflict with a softer heart, staying present without rescuing everyone, resting in a sky-like mind, loosening the grip of me, moving along the middle way, rooting yourself in patience. You don't have to remember any of it. What matters is the felt sense that is left behind. You do not need to fight your life in order to be okay. You do not need to fix your mind in order to deserve rest. You do not need to earn your place in this exact moment. Right now, with everything unresolved, with everything unfinished, with everything still in motion, you are allowed to put the burden down. You can let the thoughts drift like leaves on a slow river. You can let your breath be soft and easy. You can let the bed hold your weight as if the earth itself is saying, "Stay." You don't have to struggle anymore. You're safe to rest. If at any point your mind starts spinning again, you don't have to argue with it. Just notice one breath, then another, then another. Peace is not somewhere else, not in some perfect future version of you, not in a life without flaws. Peace is this very awareness that sees your thoughts, feels your body, and gently says, nothing is missing in this moment. Nothing has to be solved before you sleep. You are here. You are breathing. You let the night carry you where it always wanted to take you, into soft, deep, effortless rest.